Can we talk a little bit also about your Florida operation? That I was looking, what I found really interesting with that, and maybe the Saskatchewan project is similar, but with the Florida, just how many communities were sort of attached. I think you employ just, I think over 3,000 employees in that operation, right?
Yeah, I mean, we mine here in Central Florida, so we're just east, I would say, off of the Tampa Bay area. We looked after about 300, over 300,000 acres of land. So we actually have, we're a fairly large landowner here in Florida, and we operate in 4 different counties, and like you were just saying, multiple communities. So it is a very large, if you're to drive from one side of where we're doing work to the other, you're driving for a good hour or so, when you look at the extents of the property that we're operating within.
And what type of mine is this? Is this a shaft as well, or is this a different style?
No, it's all surface mining with, so it's
Oh,
it's all strip mining with drag lines. So it's big drag lines, 55 to 60 cubic yard bucket drag lines that excavate the overburden and then also excavate the phosphate rock. So it's not very deep. We're mining effectively 80, 90 feet at max below the surface,
hmm,
surface topography. So very different. And
I see.
yeah, and we slurry it up with water, and then we pump it back to our milling facilities for processing.
I see. That because I saw quite a bit of talk about reclamation on that project. So the surface mining now correlates with that, because that must be a major focus with that scale, on doing surface mining.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, part of, it's a very, I would say, a complex process. Just even, starting to mine here in Florida, there's a very regulated permitting process with the county, and federal, and also state agencies. So before we can even mine in an area, the permitting process, it takes a number of years even before you start digging into the ground. And part of that is we have to have a reclamation approved program from all these agencies as well. So it is a big focus. That department actually resides in my area as well. And we will build lakes, wetlands. We actually enhance the land that we're mining right now, from the perspective of just the type of vegetation that is there, and then also even the animals that habitat the area. And that's really what our goal is, to leave it in a better condition than we started mining it in.
What would be an example of that? Because I was reading that on your website as well, that you can actually enhance it. So what would be an actual example?
So on the land itself, we might have, land that we're going in that was potentially pasture land. So, relatively flat, not a lot of, potentially whether it be recreational use or otherwise. And we might turn that into a wetland or a lake where you've got fish. We might stock it with bass or things like this. So it, where it was maybe a pasture before, it could be more usable land, and some of it depends on what the county wants here too. They
Right.
the needs and wants of the counties. And when it comes to some of the animals here, we do, there's all sorts of examples. One of them that's just more recent is that we've been talking about here, and we're using technology with it. Is we have what we call burrowing owls here. So they're actually owls. I heard you at the beginning of the broadcast talk about an owl. I
This is
was
a
kind
weird
of,
theme.
yeah. And so this we have these owls here that inhabit the land that we're planting and mining, and we remove these owls and put them in other areas, and we're actually using technology to actually monitor where they're going, how they're living, what they adhere to as far as their habitats, to make sure that we're putting them in the right location, they're thriving, they're actually expanding their population, not contracting. So we actually have these little transponders that when we catch them, we put on them, and we have towers that we track their movements here in Florida. And we're using that to really make decisions on where we mine, how we mine, and where we move the owls to.
Do you think, hearing you talk about this, it came to my mind, do you think as I guess I'll just ask it bluntly. Do you think mining has done a good enough job at showcasing this type of thing? I mean, obviously you're on here talking about it, so
Right.
that's a step. But I'm wondering, you talk a lot about, attracting, young people to mining and that. And I was thinking, if I was, 10 years ago entering into the mining world and I was working for a company like yours and I heard that, that would actually give me another level of pride working for the company. Has that become a big focus for a company like Mosaic to let not just not even just the public know, but just their own people of what they're actually being a part of?
Yeah, I mean, I think the people that work here in the operation, if I think about Florida and the example I gave you there, most folks are really aware of what we do, the value that we bring to the communities here. I think what we need to do, continue to do work as far as advocating mining is out with, with our, with our counties and our communities, talking to people that maybe are less familiar with mining and do a lot of education. And some of it, I, for example, I used to sit on I was chair of the Ontario Mining Association for a few years when I was working in Canada. And we commissioned a lot of work at that time on just trying to really, what audience do we need to penetrate to really, look at a different view for mining. And, some of it was the children or the kids in the schools. We found it was actually even educating the parents of the children because they have a big influence into the careers that their children choose coming out of high school. So we started doing some work there. So to your point, Jared, I think we just need to do more of it because there are so many amazing examples that I was unaware of until I started working for Mosaic a number of years ago that we do here that do make you feel proud about working for this company, and that it's not just we do so much more than mining here, which is our core business, but we do so much more to enhance the environment that we're working in.
Yeah, no, I was reading through a lot of your information yesterday, especially about the one in Florida. And like I think it's called Hardee Lakes Park.
Yeah,
I think that's a reclamation project itself, right?
exactly. It's a park here in the county, in Hardee County, that was an old mining area, and it was transformed into a park with sort of a series of lakes there that people use. I've been there a number of times myself with my family or for work events.
Yeah.
And there's a number of state parks. One that I use frequently is a mountain bike park called Alafaya, which was an old dragline mining area. And mining companies of the past turned that into a park where hundreds of mountain bikers use that facility every day.
Yeah, I saw that I always liked when someone's in a certain area, I like to ask something like if someone's from Texas, we just had a gentleman on, ask him about sort of that military that military value that comes out of Texas and that, and get some interesting answer. I hear people talk about how people from Florida perceive alligators. And the reason I bring that up is because I looked at Hardee Lake Park, I'm looking through the pictures of it, and for sure I saw an alligator in the water. So you're saying
Yeah,
you've been there with you and your kids, and people out here, I mean, we're scared of them.
I,
What is the
I don't know. I mean,
perception of them?
I think it's an interesting. It's almost like how do I compare it? As a Canadian, we see black bears around and we're
Yeah.
out hiking or whatever, and generally we don't get too overly concerned because we always think that they're a lot more afraid of us than we are of them. I think it's the same down here. There's just if there's a body of water somewhere that's of any reasonable size, you're almost guaranteed there's going to be alligators in it. And
Yeah.
we've got some reclamation areas here that we've done years ago that are huge wetlands. I'm talking like 4,000 or 5,000 acre wetlands that I've been through them on airboats myself, and there's, I want to say, thousands of alligators in these areas. So they're flourishing in the environments that we're reclaiming, bird life, all sorts of things. But yeah, there's a lot of gators around here for sure.
Very Canadian to me to be like, tell me about the alligator.